Hello and welcome back to my workshop. In today's video I'm going to be doing a quick review of the Parkside Angle Grinder. It's the 125mm 5-inch one over here, and I'm also going to be talking about the old model, which is here, which I've used quite extensively, and about the Screwfix equivalent, which is the Titan 4.5-inch, which costs about the same sort of money. Anyway, first things first, we're going to whip open this box and see what's in the box, and very briefly talk about what's different. Firstly, I haven't bought a new one because the old one isn't any good. I bought a new one because this one's A, slightly different, and B, if you're heavily using angle grinders, you're often having to change what tools you've got in them, and that's a pain. So if you load up, you have a disc in one, an actual angle grinder, sort of a grinding disc, a cutting disc, a wire cut, that kind of thing. So what you get in the box, there we go, box is slightly different than before. You get a manual, get the angle grinder with its 3-meter lead. You get that. Now that's interesting because that handle there holds that. I think I did see. Yes, that can come out as well. So that's interesting, and you get a cutting disc. So that's what you get, pretty much the same as you got in the old one. This one does contain a little pack with 2 brushes in it, because the brushes in this are interchangeable. Like the old one was 1200 watts, and the new one is 1200 watts, and so is that one. So the same power, so there we have it. Okay, now this you just move around. But it doesn't come off, so you can't remove this. That is the only downside. The safety on this is slightly different. On the old one, you had to press that button, and you couldn't just push that, you had to press that button and push it to get it to turn on. On this one, you have to push it forward and pull it, and it'll lock. Now that's interesting that it will lock in, because the old one didn't use the lock. So it also does appear, yes, it is smaller and lighter than the other one. Right, so what we're going to do, stick the cutting disc in and do some cutting. Your standard M14 there. You get the cutting disc that came with it out the pack. There we go. 125mm. Now the Titan one from Screwfix, which is also £20. So there's your lock button, spindle lock. Which is, there we go, engaged. So the Titan one is A, 750 watts, not 1200. B, it's also, you also get a standard 3-meter lead. It is also 4.5-inch, not 5-inch, so I don't like the Titan one much. It's okay for running a wire cup, and also this comes off altogether on the Titan, which can be both useful and a complete safety hazard at the same time. You have to be very careful without a guard on one of these. Right, so this also can go in 3 positions, depending on what it is you're doing. Often I don't use it on a grinder this size. On my 9-inch I do. Right, let's get a piece of metal to cut. I had one over here somewhere, but I've got a couple. Again, whiz those out. We'll do some cutting and we'll do some grinding briefly. Right, those, hold on, I want that first. Put those on. We'll grab a clamp. Just make sure you can see that. There we go, that'll do. And gloves. Recommend the wearing of gloves when using an angle grinder because you just get sparks flying absolutely everywhere. Unless you like getting sparks all over your hands, shards of metal and bits of broken disc. I don't, so there you go. Right, so variable speed. Right. Blade turning that way so it won't be kicking up in my face. So it works, it cuts nicely. Let's stick on a grinding blade and see how it grinds this down. Does feel lighter than the previous one. I'm going to unplug that. The previous one was a lot harder to switch on, so I definitely recommend unplugging that one before you try changing a blade. You don't want to accidentally find you've turned it on. Flip that round. There we go. Grinding blade on, put that on. You put on a grinding blade, put it with that bit down. Right, Plug it back in. It's going to work better that way. One last step I'm going to do, so I'm just going to run the wire wheel down. Have a look. I'm going to go put a wire cut brush and just de-rust that bit there. Show you how that goes. Plug it. That's a little bit more awkward. Okay. Now that's because I'm doing it the bloody way, thosey b****s. Right, when you want to do something, turn it the right way. Right, let's move on the Donkey of the Year award. Right, we'll just get out a cut brush. One thing I would say is that the cutting disc from DeWalt works a lot better. Right, these are currently on sale in Lidl for $3.99. I put them on and off with a pair of gloves on. Now, let's just see if that will go on there. It won't. Okay, we won't go on there with that on there. Let me see if there's a way of... Right, I'm just going to pause for a minute and consult the manual. Give me 2 secs. Right, well that was interesting. Turns out that you can't get the guard off. Well, you can if you undo those 3 screws, I suppose, and just take it off. That's not in the instructions, and it also says the permissible things that you can use are a cutting disc and a grinding disc. It doesn't mention wire wheels, but they sell wire wheels. Well, what would you know? That's a bit of a shame. I guess they expect people to just hack it off or take it off and whatever. So we won't do that because that's not in the manual. What I would say is, so if you are using this, you need this one, which has got that on there. You can see the slot on first, and it locates onto the spindle there. That one, if you've got a cutting disc, goes on this way up, and if you've got a grinding disc, it goes on that way up. So there you go, and there you have it. Can't show you using a wire wheel because I'm not at this stage going to take this off. How does it compare with the previous one? Well, it's lighter. It does lock on. I'm in two minds about locking on because the Titan locks on, and the problem with that particularly is that if you get it locked on and it's running away and there's a problem and you take your hand off, well look, it's still on. So that's a bit of an issue. I mean, it's not particularly difficult to get off, but you know. The other thing to note is that when you are cutting, if you are using a cutting disc, you do need to be very careful not to let it grab, because if it does grab, A, it'll break the disc, it'll throw bits of disc everywhere, and it'll kick back on this. So when you are cutting, you do need to be careful that you don't get a kickback. Anyway, right. Is it worth 20 quid? Short answer is yes, it definitely is. I'll add it to my stable. Not sure what to do about these cards. I don't like the fact that you can't get a wire cut brush on. My inclination will be to modify it by cutting a bigger hole in there, which I will do on both of those, so I can get a cut brush on there, because these are far more powerful than the 20 quid Titan one, which is only 750 watts. And this one, the new one, as I say, it comes with a pair of spare brushes, which is very nice. The only downside of that is that you don't want to lose them. Somewhat obviously, those brushes will not go for quite some period of time, and you know how it goes. 6 months down the track, 12 months down the track, probably more likely 5 years down the track, starts to go, you think I'll change the brushes, and you can't find it. So what I would suggest you do for a start, which I'm going to do right now, is just write brushes on here for Lidl angle grinder. Because that way I know what's in the bag. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Really does help if you share as well. Cheers.